For 38 years, one of Iron Maiden's most beloved progressive masterpieces was effectively erased from their live history.
It's just outrageous.
Only for it all to change this year. So today, let's go inside the creation of Infinite Dreams, discuss its meaning and its connection with the number of the beast, and then answer the question why it is such a big deal that Iron Maiden finally played it live this year. Here you go. Infinite Dreams stands out as one of the only 3 tracks on the Seventh Son of the Seventh Son album written entirely by Steve Harris. And that is actually quite significant, specifically because Seventh Son is widely considered Iron Maiden's most collaborative effort ever released. Steve later recalled that the band spent an unusual amount of time checking in on each other, obsessively making sure every riff and every lyric fit the narrative puzzle they were building. Which of course is quite understandable, given the fact that to this very day, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son remains to be the only conceptual record this band has ever released in their career.
All our career, people are saying, go on, it's a concept album, isn't it? We said, no, it isn't, really. It's just, you know, it's not.
But there's also a darker thread that connects this song to one of their biggest hits, The Number of the Beast, as both of those songs were born from Steve Harris's nightmares. Steve has often explained that during the high-pressure environment of recording an album, his mind becomes overactive and overloaded, to the point of him entering the state when sleep becomes almost impossible for the boss. Yet while The Number of the Beast was a reaction to a specific horror movie the night before, Infinite Dreams is a deeper exploration of that exact state of mental overload. It is the sound of a mind that simply cannot turn off, which in my opinion is an indication of how much Steve Harris has actually grown as a songwriter by 1988. But as we all know, this nightmare was just a surface level of a much larger, multi-layered story.
Infinity is hard to comprehend.
By the way guys, unfortunately guys, I simply have to point out that only around 30% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed to this channel. So if you're not one of those, and especially if this is not the first Up the Irons series video you're watching here, I would really, and I mean like really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing right now. Let's continue building this amazing heavy metal community together. To understand the lyrics and the meaning of Infinite Dreams, we have to look at the foundation of the album. Seventh Son of a Seventh Son was Maiden's first true concept record, and the spark for that fire was the Orson Scott Card novel Seventh Son, which Steve Harris had recently discovered back then. Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. And the second track on the album, Infinite Dreams, introduces us to a man tormented by his own mind. Metal journalist Martin Popoff later on described it as a character imploring a spiritualist to unlock the meaning of his tortured dreams. He's seeing visions of the afterlife, mystical, frightening things, and he is simply paralyzed by the fear that one day he simply may not wake up at all.
I couldn't hear those screams in my wildest dreams.
And there's actually a popular theory among Iron Maiden fans that this character is actually the father of the Seventh Son, and like his soon-to-be-born child, he possesses paranormal abilities he doesn't fully understand. These prophetic nightmares intensify as the birth of his powerful son approaches, filling him with an anxiety that he simply cannot answer. But if you look closer, the song is also deeply personal to Steve Harris, as beyond the fantasy and the folklore of Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, there is one long and existential question. What happens next? The song explores reality, death, and the search for meaning in a way that feels incredibly grounded for a fantasy album. Once again showing how much Steve Harris has grown as a songwriter. But most importantly, and most interestingly, that the song itself also contained a prophecy, and not only about the lyrics, but about the future of Iron Maiden's sound. At the time of its release, Infinite Dreams was a massive departure from the galloping style fans expected. It does not start with a high-speed riff, instead it lures you in with a slow, mellow, almost haunting melody, and builds tension slowly, only erupting during the climax with the 2 guitar solos that are widely considered some of the most melodic and emotional ones in the band's entire catalog. Including by me. And if if you listen closely, you can hear the DNA of what would become the modern Iron Maiden sound. The structure of the song, the mellow intro, the atmospheric build-up, and the progressive shifts laid the groundwork for pretty much all of the future epics which would to come, starting on Fear of the Dark and onwards. And especially looking back at the 2000s and the Brave New World era, it's clear that Infinite Dreams was the prototype of their more progressive metal phase. And in addition to all that, it also has a really rare feature for any Iron Maiden song: a fade out. After Bruce Dickinson sings that final again and again and again, music starts to slowly vanish, which, in my opinion, is a rather haunting choice for a song about a recurring nightmare. But the craziest thing is that despite being that prophetic track, and despite the whole fact that it is, no matter what anyone may say, one of the most beloved songs for every Iron Maiden fan, Iron Maiden for some reason treated Infinite Dreams as a relic of the past. For decades. And here, guys, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who rocks out at the Run For Your Lives tour this year in Metal Pilgrim merch. And if you want to get a t-shirt like this, or one of other designs inspired, of course, by one of the greatest heavy metal bands on the planet, and support this channel, just know that you can do that via the link in the description to this video. And just in case if you do that, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. It's strange to think that an album as legendary as Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, which for many Iron Maiden fans is in fact their favorite record from this band, and which is the band's 6th most performed live record, would have such a glaring omission in its setlist. As well, hits like The Evil That Men Do and The Clairvoyant became nightly staples, Infinite Dreams was treated very differently. In fact, only thanks to the recent resubmission into the setlist, it was able to finally break the 100 performance barrier. Yet, of course, as we all know, the song was a centerpiece of the 7th tour of a 7th tour back in 1988, which produced the iconic live single recorded in Birmingham that November. And by the way, an instant thing, in order to perform this song and the other songs from the 7th Son of the 7th Son album live back then, Iron Maiden actually invited nobody else but Steve Harris's bass wizard Michael Keeney to play the keyboards on stage together with the band. And thus, purely technically, the Infinite Dreams single we all know became the first ever band's release, which they did as a 6-piece. Way before the reunion era.
Yeah, unbelievable.
But the craziest thing is that once that tour took its final bow at the Hammersmith Odeon in December of 1988, Infinite Dreams vanished from the band's setlist, and it remained a hidden treasure for nearly 38 years since. For nearly 40 years, for pretty much every diehard Iron Maiden fan, Infinite Dreams was the lost masterpiece. And even in 2012, when Iron Maiden were rehearsing to celebrate the legacy of their 7th studio album, they decided to not include Infinite Dreams into the setlist. Although, as I'm more than sure many Iron Maiden fans heard, back 14 years ago, Iron Maiden actually rehearsed that song, yet decided to not include it into the setlist last minute, specifically because of how demanding this song is vocally. So, if you think about it, the whole fact that they decided to not play it in 2012, yet dared to perform it today in 2026, is simply mind-blowing, and once again shows that Bruce Dickinson, no matter what anyone may say, is actually in a much better form today than he was several decades ago. And here's the thing, I have to be absolutely honest with you. I absolutely love The Clairvoyant. And when I even thought about the possibility of replacing this song in the setlist this year, I was actually quite skeptical, just because of how amazing it actually sounds live. But at the same time, hearing the opening notes of Infinite Dreams sounding live from the stage in Sofia, Bulgaria, where I saw the 2026 edition of Run For Your Lives tour, was one of the most cathartic experiences for me as an Iron Maiden fan. And in my opinion, the whole fact that after nearly 4 decades, this masterpiece has finally reclaimed its place under the sun as a true gift to every diehard Iron Maiden fan. So yeah, whether you like the song or not, but nevertheless, Infinite Dreams is actually one of the most important songs in this band's catalog. The song that was cut from the setlist for nearly 40 years, yet despite all that, still became a fan favorite and almost a cult track for every Iron Maiden fan. In addition to the whole fact that it was the song that effectively predicted the modern, progressive era of Iron Maiden. And I'm really glad that the justice is finally being served for this masterpiece. But anyways, what do you guys personally think about Infinite Dreams and the modern live rendition of this song? Please let us know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and will prevail. Slava Ukraini!